Today, we're diving into a classic philosophical debate. Is morality objective or subjective?
That's a question that never gets old. Do you think there's a universal right and wrong, or is it all just personal perspective?
Honestly, I lean toward the idea that morality has some objective roots. Like certain things, say, murder, are wrong across cultures.
But what about the times and places where what we call murder was seen as acceptable, like in ancient wars or duels? Doesn't that suggest it's subjective?
Possibly, but even in those cases, there were still rules. Some killings were justified, others seen as crimes. Maybe that's evidence for underlying moral constants.
Or maybe it's just evidence that cultures create their own rules, and what's moral is whatever a society agrees on.
True, but if morality is just about agreement, how do we criticize obvious injustices in history? Like slavery, it was accepted in some societies, but we now call it deeply immoral.
That's a tough one. If morality is subjective, it gets tricky to say any society was wrong. But if it's objective, who sets the standard?
Philosophers have tried to answer that. Some point to reason, others to religion, or even evolutionary biology.
Evolution is interesting. Some argue our moral instincts are shaped by what's good for the group, like helping others increases survival odds.
Right. But if it's all about survival, does that make something truly moral or just useful?
Good point. The difference between what's beneficial and what's right isn't always clear.
That's where the objectivists step in, saying there are moral facts, just like there are facts in math or science.
But can you measure morality the way you measure temperature or distance?
Not exactly, but some say moral facts are discovered, not invented, like how we discovered gravity.
But gravity doesn't care about culture. Morality seems so tied to context. What's loving in one culture might be rude in another.
Absolutely. But maybe the underlying values, like fairness or kindness, are constant, even if the expressions differ.
Maybe those values are just common preferences, not universal truths. Like, most people like music, but not everyone agrees on what's good music.
That's a fun comparison. But if morality is like taste in music, then anything goes, and we lose the ability to call out real harm.
That's the worry with pure subjectivity. But then, objectivity can sound cold, like there's a moral calculator out there judging us.
I think people want guidance, but also flexibility. Like a GPS, it suggests the best route, but lets you take detours.
I love that image, but sometimes even GPS gets confused. Maybe that's like our moral compasses, good most of the time, but not infallible.
So maybe morality is partly objective, partly subjective.
Maybe. Some philosophers argue for a middle ground. Morality could have objective elements, but culture and experience shape how we apply them.
That makes sense. For example, most cultures value honesty, but the way honesty is expressed can vary.
Exactly. And sometimes honesty can conflict with other values, like kindness.
So when values clash, how do we decide what's right?
Some turn to ethical theories, like utilitarianism, which looks at outcomes, or deontology, which focuses on rules.
Each has its strengths and weaknesses. Utilitarianism can justify bad actions for good outcomes, while deontology can be too rigid.
And then there's virtue ethics, which asks what a good person would do.
That's more about character than rules or results. But even then, different cultures admire different virtues.
Right. Courage in one society might look like recklessness in another.
So, we're back to the question. Is there a true moral standard, or just a patchwork of beliefs?
Maybe it's like language. There are universal structures, but endless variations.
That's a neat analogy. But even with language, there are rules. If you break them, communication fails.
So, breaking moral rules could lead to social breakdown. Maybe that's why some basics, like not harming others, show up everywhere.
It could be practical, or it could reveal something deeper about human nature.
Some say our sense of morality is built in, like a moral instinct.
But instincts can be misleading. People have instincts for revenge, too. But we don't call that moral.
True. And then there's the issue of change. Our moral views evolve over time.
That's a big challenge for objectivity. If moral truths exist, why do they seem to shift?
Some argue we're getting closer to the truth, like science refining its theories.
Or maybe we're just adapting to new circumstances. No truth required.
Do you think technology changes our sense of right and wrong?
Absolutely. Take privacy, for example. It means something different now than 100 years ago.
But the underlying concern, respecting others, remains.
That supports the idea of core values beneath changing practices.
But then, how do we handle deep disagreements, like over capital punishment or animal rights?
Those debates show how tough it is to pin down objective answers.
And yet, most people feel strongly that their position is right.
That confidence might come from upbringing, or from reasoning.
Or maybe from emotion. Moral decisions often feel intuitive, not calculated.
Psychologists say our moral judgments are like gut reactions, justified after the fact.
That makes objectivity even trickier. If morality is emotional, can it really be universal?
Maybe universality is an ideal, not a reality. Something we strive for, even if we never fully reach it.
That's kind of inspiring, actually. Like aiming for the stars, knowing we might only reach the moon.
And yet, sometimes striving for objectivity brings progress. Think of human rights movements.
Those often appeal to universal values, even when not everyone agrees.
Maybe the best we can do is keep questioning, keep refining our views.
Like that. Treating morality as a journey, not a destination.
So in the end, do you lean more toward objectivity or subjectivity?
Honestly, I'm still undecided. I see the appeal of both. Maybe it's a spectrum, not a binary choice.
That's fair. Life rarely fits into neat categories.
But the debate itself is valuable. It forces us to think about why we believe what we do.
And to listen to others, even when we disagree.
Exactly. Maybe the most important moral rule is to keep the conversation going.
That's a great takeaway. After all, morality might be hard to define, but discussing it helps us grow.
And maybe, just maybe, that's the most objective thing we can do. Stay curious and open-minded.
So, to everyone listening, what do you think? Is morality objective, subjective, or a bit of both?
Let us know your thoughts, and keep questioning. That's how progress happens.
Until next time, keep exploring those big questions.
And remember, a little moral confusion is just a sign you're thinking deeply.